We are in Monza, and this is the absolute temple of speed, known because of just how fast the average speed is here. And if there's one lesson that this track teaches year after year again when it comes to strategy, is that discipline wins. The strategy can often look brutally simple. Stick to the one stop and don't blink. Right, but why is Monza unique anyway? Let's break it down. Now, Monza's pit stop is one of the longest of the year. Not 100% because the lane itself is rather unusually long, but it's because of the relative distance. You're still crawling through the pit lane at 80 kph, but the cars are blasting down the outside straight with top speeds hitting up to 350 kph. That's around 215 miles per hour. So it's the relative difference, ballooning that pit loss of how much you take in for the pit stop up to nearly 25 seconds under green conditions. Now, when we slow those cars down under a safety car, you cut that automatically to around 14 seconds. So, strategy-wise, on tyres, we've got the same as we've had the last 2 years here. The C3 is the hard, the C4 is the medium, and the C5 is the soft. Same trio. The soft itself is really just a launch tyre. We're going to see it qualifying maybe for a short stint. The medium is a workhorse, but if you push it too hard early, it grates. And the hard is our anchor. If you manage the first 5 laps, it will run and run. That's why the baseline plan at Monza, combined with the long pit loss, is always the same. Medium, hard, one stop. Anything else, 2 stops or a soft heavy plan only works if the graining is brutal or you get a perfectly timed safety car. Now, hard medium works if you're a fast car out of position. Remember that. So, a quick word on setup. Now, within the cost cap, teams have to make some choices. It's all about trade-off. Some teams design a bespoke low downforce rear wing just for Spa and Monzas. Others adapt an existing package. Think Red Bull hacking at their rear wing last year to save resources. It's why you sometimes see teams popping up, like Williams, for example, being able to do great pace. Now, qualifying is all about the tone. A perfect slipstream here is worth 3 to 5 tenths, bearing in mind the whole field spread is about 1 second. If you get caught in the train, you ruin your prep lap. This is why we often see drivers that have a penalty, whether it's on power unit, get used as mules. Sainz towed Charles in 2022, Checo towed Max in 2021. And if your car is efficient enough, like McLaren last year, in terms of raw outpace, you forget the late games and just go for a clean lap. We also often see cars take power unit penalties here. It's super power sensitive, so fresh engines are the order of the day if you've still got one in your pool. All right, let's look at the last 5 years. 2019, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc took pole and won by starting and then defending for half the race on hards against the Mercedes on mediums. That was discipline. 2022 was the crazy year. A safety car actually closed the pit lane, Hamilton got a penalty, and then a red flag reset everything. Pierre Gasly had already switched onto the hards. Stroll got a free stop, and suddenly Gasly won from P10 with some stunning driving, but it is the outlier in strategy. 2021, McLaren executed perfectly. Ricciardo led from the start, went medium to hard, and controlled the race. Bottas even came from back with a new power unit, up to finish third. Again, one stop. Discipline. Now, 2022, Ferrari blinked. They pitted Charles twice. There was a virtual safety car. Whilst Max Verstappen and Red Bull, they stuck to the one-stop plan and they won from P7 on the grid. Sainz and Hamilton showed you can recover from the back by starting on hards and running long. Reverse strategy. Fast car out of position. 2023, Ferrari had the front row with Sainz on pole, but their defence burned the mediums. They grained and they pitted early, and Verstappen simply overcut, extending the first stint and switching to hards. It's all about balancing the stints here. Balancing the stops. Discipline, typically around lap 23 to 25. Now, 2024 race, McLaren had the fastest car, but they grained their tyres. And then they bailed out and 2 stopped. Ferrari stopped on lap 15, but then Charles was able to extend the stint on hard. They didn't blink when Red Bull went for their second stop, and McLaren went for their second stop, and they've had their first win since 2019. That was discipline rewarded. So what about this weekend? Last year it was so hot, 33 degrees in the air, 46 on the track, and the new surface really punished the tyres with early graining. This year it's a little bit cooler, stable. We're looking at mid-20s all weekend. Race day at 27 degrees with absolutely no rain risk at the moment. That should mean less thermal stress and graining that cleans up faster. But simply, the one stop should be even stronger this year. Remember, everyone's learned from last year where the track was resurfaced and they've seen that it is possible. So here's your cheat sheet. If you've qualified well, in pace order, start on mediums if you can, hards if you're recovering from your leg. The overcut can beat the undercuts. You can't blink too early. It's all about balancing those stints because the new tyres can grain on the outright because you can't really push them. And remember at Monza, the fastest way to win isn't to gamble, it's to stick to the oldest strategy in the book. Build a fast race car, execute the one stop, and don't blink. That is Monza strategy briefing. Make sure you're signed up to the Race Strategy Society newsletter for the full breakdown, and drop a comment if there's something you want me to cover in the next Monza episode, which will be the debrief after the race. Ciao, and Andy out.